Have you ever known someone who felt that life had little to offer? Someone who seemed to move through their days as though on autopilot, just going through the motions? Perhaps you felt it yourself like this. Maybe money was tight, opportunities scarce, and there seemed no way to find an interesting or decently paid job. It's in moments like these that we can start to feel not just tired but trapped. It's if the walls of our situation are closing in, and that feeling or being stuck with no way out can sap our willpower, leaving us wondering if there's any point to struggling on through life's disappointments. I remember the first time I felt disillusioned with the world. In my younger years, like many of us, I was an idealist, so I was filled with hope for a better, fairer society. I imagined a world where the natural environment was cared for, where business was conducted with honesty, and where social justice was not just a campaign but a reality. Yet, as time went on, things did not match that vision. Every news report, every social media headline seemed to show the opposite: dishonesty, injustice, indifference. And that is where despair might creep in for some people. Despair is more than sadness or frustration. It's the sense that there is nothing left to hope for. We stop trusting those in power to fix the political mess, stop expecting businesses to turn the economy round, and stop believing that our institutions will give us ethical answers. It's one of the bleakest of human experiences, the feeling that life itself has no framework of meaning, no credible aims worth striving for. There is also a particular kind of despair that arises from feeling like a stranger. This is to feel cut off from friends, from community, from one's own sense of belonging. Perhaps we've moved to a place where everything is unfamiliar and where no one seems to share our way of thinking. It can be deeply disorientating, as though the ground has shifted under our feet. Modern society emphasises money-making, it values efficiency, appearance, and these often make things worse. In a big city where millions live side by side, yet remain strangers to one another, loneliness can be crushing. Sometimes estrangement comes from within. Perhaps in childhood we had to hide our true selves in order to survive, to be accepted. So we created a false self, one that looked right to others but did not feel authentic to us. Over time, this can leave us empty and disconnected, unable to express our creativity or form meaningful relationships. But here's the thing: this sense of estrangement often tells lies. It convinces us that we are truly alone, when in reality there are opportunities, however small, to connect. Occasionally, we might notice new social networks or communities and the chance to seek out like-minded people. This would allow ourselves to be honest about who we are. That takes courage. But it is often the first step back towards a sense of belonging. Our culture can be oddly hostile to meaning. We live in a world which prizes convenience and speed, a bureaucratic, automated society where cynicism, I'm afraid, is common. Spend enough time around people who assume that life is pointless, and it can be hard not to believe them. Yet history shows that meaning can be found, even in the harshest of conditions, the psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, argued that life always has meaning, and that discovering that meaning can sustain us even through suffering. To rediscover meaning, we may need to focus our minds deliberately on what gives us purpose in our relationships. Also, our creative projects, our care for others, and our engagement with ideas. Meaning rarely lands in our lap. More often, it must be sought out, even fought for. Many spiritual traditions see despair, though, not as a dead end, but as part of a larger struggle. They treat despair as a moment when we are confronted with ourselves and are being asked to grow. Some religious faiths suggest that despair points to a flaw within us. I'm thinking of our cravings, our wrongdoings, or our tendency to rely too heavily on our own strength, our own abilities. Other faiths see it as a test, a stage on the path towards maturity and wisdom. I personally cannot see despair as a punishment, as a few Christian traditionalists seem to suggest, because I do not believe in a punitive God. My deity instead is one of compassion. I see despair as a kind of refining fire. It burns away illusions. It forces us to stop looking for happiness in social status, in possessions, in bodily pleasures. The Swedish philosopher and mystic Emanuel Swedenborg thought despair could be part of a gradual process of inner spiritual growth, one that transforms a naturally orientated focus on oneself and one's own pleasures into a higher perspective on life. We go through cycles, moments when we see things clearly and moments when we lose sight of them again. In those darker moments, we may feel that the old ways no longer work for us, that our inner life must change. If we persevere through that struggle, Swedenborg says we receive gifts, new insights, a clearer sense of what is truly good, and a deeper concern for others. At its deepest level, despair can bring us to the point where we acknowledge that we cannot by our own efforts alone make everything right. And it is in that surrender, that opening to something beyond ourselves, that hope is reborn. Whether you call it God, divine love, or simply the mystery at the heart of life, the moment of trust is something greater. It can lift the heaviest of despairs, and when that happens, life can begin again. In this video, I've been exploring how to get hope if in despair. Thanks for listening. If you found it interesting, why not click on other videos in the emotional healing playlist, like How Do Humans Heal Jealousy and Suspicion? In that one, I look why distrust can run deep, from paranoia about others' motives to jealousy in relationships, and how we can learn to trust wisely without being naive. Cheerio.